Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How's everybody doing? All right. I think I'm cooking with grease. I think. All right. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. How's everybody doing? Getting 5x5. Ryan West. Whoops. Opening the door. Fantastic. Michael O'Holland. Good to see ya. Shanbot. Version 42. Take it over version 41. Matt. Good to see ya. Joe. Morning. Hoos. What's up? Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Tad. Morning. Sean, good to see you. Morning. Orcus Dorcas. Drew, good morning. Gabe, good morning. Thanks for chiming in. Let me know you're here. Jason, good to see you. Full house already, indeed, Laramie. Good to see you. Mike, good to see you. Apologies to you, Sean, for being wrapped up in the conversation in the arms last night and not saying hello before you dropped off. Yeah, I apologize. I dipped in thinking I could stay a little bit longer, and I had to bolt, so I did the Irish goodbye. All good. Mr. White, morning. Aaron, Demon Grinder, good to see you, man. Good crowd today. Good crowd every week. Exceptional crowd today. Exceptional crowd, I think. All right. For those of you that may be new or see this after the live stream, I'm Sean. I like tabletop RPGs, and so do the people in the chat. So we come together every Saturday morning and talk about, or should I say BS, a little bit about role-playing games and what's going on. Sometimes I talk about what's coming out in print thanks to some online resources, as well as crowdfunding and print news and things that are going on. Usually warm up with a question or topic of the day, topic du jour. Yes, that sounds good. I'll have that. You guys know that? You guys know that quote? Where's that from? What movie? Oh, that sounds good. I'll have that. All stream approved. Let's see. Morning, Todd. Good to see you. I always meet and greet folks until I probably can't. When I get 1,000 people showing up to a live stream, might be tough. 1,000 people. Who is this guy? Jake, good morning. Harry Met Sally? Is it? That's not the one I had in mind. Could be. It's not the one I had in mind. Doc, good to see ya. Doc Flamingo. Uh-oh, I had to go back in the last week's video and edit the removed my like. There you go. Mr. White got it. Dumb and Dumber. Soup. What's the soup? Soup du jour. Ooh, that sounds good. I'll have that. Yeah, good job. Good job, Mr. White 20. You know, I always struggle with these topics of what you might be talking about. Hey, Drew, good to see, or Dren, good to see you. I always wonder about topics like, and I've brought this up on stream before, like how many RPG podcasts have talked about X? How many podcasts have talked about Y? Like, you know, I should call this the Beat the Dead RPG horse stream. And call you guys all the jockeys, right? What's up, jockeys? We're here to beat that dead horse. So I want to talk about, let's get into the stream of things, shall we? So this week, kind of touched on last week. Last week we talked about fudge and dice and dice rolls and who should roll and who doesn't roll. And have you changed your mind about fudge and dice? And somewhere in the mix, I think GM screens might have come up. And I said, well, that's probably for next week. So here it is next week, February 15th, the day after Love Day in America. Talking about Game Master screens. Oh, Game Master screens. Seriously, dude. Well, you know, what are you going to do? So this is a tricky one because if you just play, then this isn't really going to be a big topic for you, right? But do you use a GM screen for what game, or what is one of the better GM screens that you've used and why? What should go on a GM screen? Why is it advantageous? Like, so many questions. It doesn't have to be like, do you use one or you don't? Why? Why not? Right? It's a multifaceted question, if you will. It's more of a topic of discussion. And I'll also say, like, okay, so if you don't use a GM screen, maybe face to face, but what about like when you play virtually, right? What does that mean? Is there a virtual GM screen? Like, do you count whatever's on your monitor as a GM screen as a reference point? Should players have player screens? We use quick reference sheets, and the screen might be a little formal, and maybe like when you think of screen, it's like the in front, right? It's right, the wall, right? So if you say player screen, I don't think any of us would probably want that specifically, but I could see the 3-panel folder thing. You get one for each player, and in each panel you put in the quick reference sheets of, well, here's combat in this panel. Just follow this if you have any questions. Here's what all the skills do, and those are how these are defined. Or just let the player come up with their own inserts, right? So if you're playing a spellcaster, you put your spells in the right-hand panel, and it tells you like what the spell does and everything. Like, I think there is something to be said about player screens or reference sheets, if you will. We usually probably talk about quick reference sheets. One of the things that I will say, the Alexandrian, if you have never gone over there, he's got some fantastic quick reference sheets for certain games. It's only probably, I don't know if he's got like 7. It's not a ton, but he's got a great one for Star Wars, FFG rules, where each page is covering something, and it's essentially fantastic reference sheets. I think there's one for Knights Black Agents as well, so I would check them out anyway. Ryan says, and let the game begin. Ryan says, I do use them. Random NPC names help a lot. Tables you utilize a lot. So I'm going to guess with Ryan. I'm not going to assume, but I figure why not? Probably like it's going to be, and then it'll say, I hear it off in cyberspace. You hear it? It's somebody saying, it depends. I can hear it echo. And of course it's going to depend. It'd probably be dependent upon the game you're actually running, right? Like fantasy games, if you're running West Marches, tables, charts, random named tables and encounters and things of that nature, where, if it's something like, I don't know, space travel, it might be distance and, how far can you go on a specific engine or something along those lines, right? Jake, if everyone has a screen, going to need a bigger table. Well, we could all use bigger tables, right? Because size matters. Question deserves a different answer for every game. Indeed it does. Indeed it does. What do you find running the most and using a screen for? I use them for most games, for tables and charts, or hiding maps behind it. I roll in front of it. My favorite screen is the one I have that is pockets on both sides of the slide pages in and out of. I have the trifold, and it's this one you talking about, Laramie, that you could put stuff on the outside and the inside. That's another thing. How many people use GM screens? So old school DM, I don't think it's the one that shows up here, but there was an individual that had a handle, old school DM from Gaming and BS days. He did a lot of paper crafting. And one of the things he did was he used the GM screen to add to the diorama. So, everything was cardboard, right? Terrain and things of that nature, like urban setting. And then at the end, he had like a picture on the outside of the GM screen that kind of represented kind of a backdrop to the physical 3D models that he had put out on the table, if you will. That's another thing too. So never use them anymore, mostly because the games I run don't have them, but it has changed my preference. I like to have an open view of the table and give the table an open view of me. Yeah. Okay. There's some people, man, that I know you're gonna find this hard to believe, but there are actually some people that get really perturbed at this topic. I know, shocker, role-playing games? What? Spurring some passion about opinions about certain things? What? The nerve. Oh, GM screen? No. It's like the Berlin Wall. Get that out of here. No, it's very, very communistic. Settle down, damn, right? Isn't that like what you want to do to some people nowadays, especially nowadays? Like just, hey, let's just settle down, okay? Settle down now. Never use them, never found them useful either for separating myself from the players or containing useful information. I usually make my own quick reference sheet for what I actually need. Fair enough. That's perfect answer. Orcus Dorcas, I remember getting AD&D player screens back in the day. We used them once because we all felt stupid. They're funny you mention that. Go to GaryCon, and there's usually one table that has like the first edition AD&D GM screen. And if you remember that screen, it's 8.5 by 11, right? It's a normal sheet of paper. And then I think it was like, was it 4 folds, right? Or a quad fold, not a trifold, kind of. And then I think it was 2 of them. Right? I think you got 2 of those, like 4 panels. So it's like 8-panel GM screen. There's always one person I find at GaryCon for whatever reason, and they've got like the one edge of a table, and the whole thing is just like, it's like Neil Peart's drum set, like all the way around this huge command center, right? I use one. I use this Savage Worlds custom screen where you can replace the inserts with my own created quick references, and not just for Savage Worlds, but for each game I run. Yeah, I think that's the one I have, Matt. As a matter of fact, that I referenced. Yeah, good stuff. And it's nice. Like I got it, I think, because I saw Carl. I think it was maybe Carl Kiesler running Forget About It, and I know he did custom art that like had mobsters on the front. And it said Forget About It on it. And then that would be like the main panel. And then the side panels had a couple mobster kind of thematic artwork. And I put those in. So when he ran the game, I'm going to run that game. I'm going to take these out and put that in as more of an aesthetic. It's at convention specifically. Michael says, I use screens for some games and not others. If the reference material is good, they'll get used. Some games, I just don't need it. I find it's like kind of, I don't know why. It's a weird, it's more of a feeling for me. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I would want to reference things in there like conditions that I could just quickly look at. But some are really terrible. Like I never use anything in them for maybe a particular game. But what is nice is I can always have all my garbage behind it. I don't have to like have a notebook in front of me. There's no screen. And, oh, by the way, on my notebook is the map that I'm describing to the players. Oh, and I got to go to the bathroom. So I have to flip my map over, if you will. My players aren't going to be ones that like, oh, what's this? And they grab it and they look at it. But it's just right out there in the open. It's kind of like, it's like exposing myself. Whoa. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I got my dice. I will roll out in the open or to my little dice tray to the right. Also, one thing that I find Game Master screens pretty handy for is when I was running Tomb of Annihilation, 5e, hey-oh, I would take the little initiative. I take a 3x5 card and I would chop it. How would I do it? Yeah, I would chop it lengthwise, like cut it up, right? So the 5-inch, I'd go every, 3/4 inch and chop it. And then I'd fold them all in half, right? Little mini table tents. And then I would put the name of the character on one side. And on the other side, I would put the name of the character, passive perception, armor class, and I would put those along the top of the GM screen. And so when initiative came around, I would just do this and put them in order. And so everybody could see the initiative across the top of the GM screen. And on the other side, I could call out initiative and tell the next person who's on deck, who's up, who's on deck, and who's in the hole, right? Baseball, hey-oh. Baseball, sports ball reference. Huh? And then if I needed a passive perception, I didn't have to ask them. I would just look on their little table tent. Now, those things had to be updated if they leveled up, but I don't know, right? That's another reason. Dang it, the stream is choppy for me. Refreshed a couple times and checked other video. Anybody? Do tablets, laptops, phones count as a screen if that's what they're used for, if that's what they're used for? Right. True. Right? If I had a laptop and I had my info there, I've done that too. It's the David Blaine approach to GMing, not on stage, right in their face on the street for all to see. Look, remember fake David Blaine? The YouTube videos. That was hilarious. You gotta look them up. Anyways, I like a screen as part of the setting the mood in. There's body language, but I think also like the screen, like if it wasn't there, you as a game master, as a player, are exposed. I say this, but if you had the GM screen in front of you, you could kind of sit there and ponder. You could sink down below, kind of look at something and just, where I don't know if that has the same effect if it wasn't there. Phil McClory. I love GM screens. The separation between GM and player. I use them even when I run online for quick reference. I play with Phil. That's exactly how he sounds. Just saying. Our work helps players understand tone and vibe. Indeed, it does. I've seen one online that's pretty freaking cool. I'm sure you guys might have seen this, maybe not. If you haven't, go and check it out. But it's a GM screen somebody put together where they have a tablet kind of embedded, player facing. Right? So there's the screen, and on the middle panel is the tablet. And it allows them, I think they're running a laptop on the other side, and it allows them to flip the thing out on the outside of the screen, right? On the tablet. So instead of like players' handouts and throwing them right on the table, now, okay, some people are But Sean, if you have a handout and you can put it on the table, then the other players can pick it up and they can read it and they can pass it around. Well, that's true. That's true. But wouldn't it be nice to just be able to switch things up on that little screen? Now, some people would say, well, Sean, why don't you just get one of those huge 42-inch TVs that cost $200 now? Or you can put it right on a table and just make it part of your game table. Again, true, but nonetheless, in this example, a tablet on the outside of the GM screen, which I thought would be kind of cool to have. Morning, Roger Francais. Flint, good to see you. Hey, for everybody that's here, if you could do me a favor and hit the like button if somebody has not mentioned it. I may be a little bit behind in the chat, but nonetheless, I just wanted to, I think we're getting close to maximum capacity. The record for likes in the first hour of the stream, after it's done, I think we're up to 40. Let's bust that record, shall we? What I'd love to see more often are play mats that feature common tables, charts for the game, a world map at the center, handy tools, guides for all players, really catches the eye of passerbys at cons too. Totally agree. I think they're awesome. The market would suck, right? You can't do one for every game because you'd probably sell 10, right? One group, somebody would go bonkers. But I do agree, the big mouse mat, right? The desk mat. I think it would be great if you're going to do a long-term campaign, you got all your players at for like Christmas. The thing is they're not cheap. And especially if you do a custom, you're not going to make any money, right? Well, that's fine. You're not doing it to make money. But I think it would be awesome. And hopefully you get one that's done in quality that's not going to wear off, right? So you put in some of the things that Tom mentioned, and then the player comes in, and it's like their placemat, right? When they eat dinner. Except the problem is players will eat dinner on these things or lunch or whatever they're eating during game. And they're just, you're going to get spilled coffee on them, all kinds of stuff. So what do you got to do? You got to laminate them. just like the cheap diners. Most games I prefer a screen so I could set prep items behind it to be revealed, right? Miniatures. Put the miniatures behind. Nothing like, okay, I don't use a screen and I use miniatures. So let's just put the miniatures right out in front so everybody can see them. Now, that could be a tactic, but I use them. Best one I've used so far is COC screen, as it has the best balance of reference and rules on it. Great art on the front, helps with setting vibes and immersion. Funny you bring that up. I had that one for Masks of Nyarlathotep. And I got the Mass of Nyarlathotep screen. And I had both of them. So I'd have one in front of the other. So if I needed one, I would just pick up one and flip it in front of me. But Masks, as Orcus Dorcas may know, because I think he's playing in it or running it, or have run it or played it, is there's so many NPCs. So Mass has all the list of all the NPCs and who they are. so you can remember as a game master. Nubis, good to see ya. Good afternoon. Used a GM screen for my first game, 5e. Then I printed my own and used this slip screen from TTRPG. Now I just use custom-made sheets. Dislike the mental and physical separation they create. I dislike the mental and physical separation they create. Oh, interesting. I find GM screens mostly useful for hiding stuff, not so much for rules. Fair. I totally empathize. Tyler, I use them. In my opinion, good ones have the tables you'll need, but don't want to look up. Yeah. Hey, when it comes to size, it depends. It does indeed. Eric Frankhouse, what are you doing here? Hey, man, what are you doing here? Are you in the right place? Good to see you, buddy. Mike says, I found a GM binder with tabs to be most helpful for quick reference information. I do this as a player as well. And maybe we should not maybe it shouldn't be a GM screen we're talking about. Maybe it's like, how do you reference your material quickly without paging through a book? To Mike's point, I've done page protectors. I also find myself flipping through because it doesn't make sense to me. Going back to there's a video on here about, on capacities and Notion. And the lack of linear mentality, right? Like even a book, pages, right? Flip that, where even a linked PDF can be really handy. But I find capacities would be my go-to GM screen, I think, in the future, or Notion. Or even Foundry has a GM screen, right? The virtual tabletop, you can get the GM screen module. And you can pick, takes up a half a page if you drawer it up, right? So it has a drawer. So you click on it and it moves up. And on that, you could separate it into, it's a table, essentially. So you're picking the amount of rows and columns. The less amount of rows and columns, the bigger the cell, right? And so the smaller the cells. But you can also tab that. So what I did for, I don't remember, maybe Impossible Landscapes for Delta Green is I would have each character on one tab, and it would be 4 columns, 1 row. So they would basically be vertical so I could see the character sheets. So you just drop the character sheet right onto them so you could see all their skills. And then if I needed to reference certain things like combat or conditions, I would have that on another tab. I would label that tab conditions or combat, and then I would put cells, and I would try to put them in an order so that I could, this is how initiative's done. Here's the list of actions. Here's the damage, right? Curious, does anyone use screens that have tables, screens built in? Aaron, for the game I'm working on, I designed GM screen. I decided to target at new GMs more, so it mostly has page numbers to reference the book faster and bullet points of the game's core rules. Yeah, that's one way to do it, right? Well, even when we make notes, reference page this, just in case you had to break out the book and you just go page right to it. I know also many people, or some people, take and they tab their entire book, right? Red, green, blue, yellow, Roy G. Biv, like tons of tabs. And if you know the colors that you always associate with every book that you do, is like Comet is always blue, so you don't even have to label them, right? And you just stick your finger in there and open it up, which I think is fantastic as well. Sean, I play a lot of games that I don't know that well, so I tend to have a few laminated reference sheets, even as a player. Don't usually set them up as a screen, though. Fair enough. Aaron, the big ticket item was a list of useful phrases and questions the GM could use to help redirect players to make role-playing easier. Phil says Call of Cthulhu, Mothership, The Walking Dead, and The One Ring are very good, excellent information and presentation on them. There's good examples. I probably should do a video on GM screens, like why is one good and one's not. Professor DM of Dungeoncraft did a video about his DM screen, which I think is recently, which is refreshing. Just saying. It was very interesting how it wasn't just a screen, but also part of the background in the adventure. Yes. I also found screens, like if you get the really fancy ones, the 3D printed ones, or the custom ones that are like these big plastic, castle looking things, you could put little shelves in there. Some of them you can fold, right? Fold and keep, like it's a briefcase that you fold, like, or a backgammon set, right? You fold up, you could carry it with a handle, and then when you need it, you just unfold it, and your stuff's in there all in nice little places and cubbies. Pretty cool stuff, right? I think, what's the wood place that does some custom screens that are pretty cool like that? So one that is, somebody used He-Man's Castle Grayskull play toy thing, right? I think actually somebody might have given one to Brett. Either sold it to him, gave it to him. I don't remember. I thought somebody found it at a garage sale, and they're like, here, Brett, you can have it. And it's the Castle Grayskull, right? You fold it out, and somebody was using it as a GM screen. Depends. Shambot says, I use one with newer players, partly because it seems to be part of the expectation of a lot, but not all players. Most of the time, it's used to hide props and items, never dice rolls. Gotta make that. Stefan, hello. Stefan's like, he barges through the door, fabulous, with his rainbow-colored boa. Oh, now how about the one at Gamehole where the dude was, yeah, there it is, Castle Grayskull. Sorry, Laramie, didn't mean to take that away from you. I love Savage World screen because I customized it, says Mike Holland. Flint, I think I have that screen. Was this telling us the future of having 4 screens for video games? Ooh. I like the Merc Borg one. I've seen CD cases. Have you seen CD cases? Jewel cases is what they're called. And hey, kids, when we used to have music, the CD cases were kind of like, what are they? 5x5 squares, kind of. Like there was one I saw there's an online tutorial because I think I tried making one, and you can like they kind of fold, I guess, maybe in one way or another, but there's a way to do it. And then it's like, it's pretty small, right? It's like the size of a CD case, whatever, jewel case. And you could have like 6 panels. They're pretty small, but they don't take up, like it may be a happy compromise from the big, huge Berlin Wall separating the players from the mighty GM, right? It sits so low. And then I think Merc Borg is a pretty low profile one, if I'm not mistaken. Some of them get pretty low profile. That's why I thought about the CD case, jewel case one. Or the MCG mousepad mat for the group to use. That's a good one. Talked about a little bit about player mats. Aaron, I used them back in the day. Then I didn't for a while. With the idea of removing the barrier between the GM and players, rolling in the open, and philosophy that the GM is a player too. Sounds very socialist. We're all equal here. Just kidding, relax. Hey, calm down. Just calm down. Stefan, I no longer use a GM screen. What? I just use a 3-wing binder with the key reference sheets. Somebody else has mentioned that as well. All right. Now, Aaron continues. I'm back using the screen. It adds a bit of theater to the game, like a stage, but I almost never use any reference info on them. I never think to look at those tables. Yeah, see? So it's like a ambiance, if you will. Carl's work's amazing. Playing one of his games is on my bucket list. Yes, I heartily encourage Carl Kiesler. Check a game out. Goonies meets the Ghostbusters, Sharknado, I don't remember, Trailer Park, something craziness. Very definitely, if you see him on a roster at a con, sign up for one of his games. When running games that I am not familiar with, I use them. At some point, screens become an afterthought, and then that means I don't need it. I also use a binder for tables that I need. They are also good to hide minis behind. There you go, indeed. Aaron continues, I remember the player screens. I don't think they lasted a single session. Is he a bit choppy? Uh-oh. Am I choppy again? Great. Choppy audio, video. Oh, God. Choppy video, audio is good. Great. Fantastic. I don't know why. Why? Just why? I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. Just pretend like he's on max headroom. Fair enough. Great. Choppy. Fantastic. I don't have any drop frames. 20%? That seems high. Yeah? Why does it do that? I don't change anything in OBS. I do love customized screens. I have both landscape and horizontal to hold the various types of homemade screens available. Good morning, Wayne. Good to see you. Heading out of town to visit a friend. Hope have fun. Audio's good for you. Screen freezes for half second every video. Oh, great. I don't know what's going on. Let me do a speed check if I will. I bet you my speed test is just like no problem. I bet you. I bet you. You want to bet? Run, speed test. Oh my God. Yeah, now I'm only getting 100 down. That shouldn't matter. Let's see what my up is. Oh, now I know why. Oh, my up is not that great. Who is up at this morning at 8:30? My upload's 9. That's low, but not terrible. I should be able to stream okay. Sorry, guys. I have to say, Eric says, I have to say having the screen to hang art over and maps, it's great. Usually the contents have nothing on them. Well, that's another thing too. Could you have like, you take a clipboard and you put just like a little lip on it, right? You take the metal thing off, or you keep the metal thing on, right? No, that won't work. Well, it could work. No. Or you could use the black clips, right? So if you take a map and you just take the clip and right on the outside of the screen. Your Hobbs impression is spot on. Tim DeShane, where you been all my life? That guy. Love seeing that guy. I need to get down to GaryCon when he comes up. Listen to that Rhode Island accent. Good to see you, buddy. Stream dropped. Oh, jeez. You guys crashed me. Stop crashing me. Maybe POD player mats. Oh, that might be an option. Still okay for Gabe. Gabe is closer to me. That may be the thing. Oh, man. It's all of the routers reconfiguring for some of the folks that are having issues. Laminators are around $20 currently, so cheap. Reload the page, get the page. Roy, load the page, get the page. No, we lost Sean. I'm still here. Baby, come back. I'm here. I'm right here, guys. I only use screens when I'm running the DCCs, the tournaments. Because he's got to hide his stamp. If you guys don't know what a DCC stamp. Oh, you died? Give me that sheet. Ka-chunk! Put the big stamp of death on there. I have this binder with the annotated adventure, which I stand up, and my Black Sabbath record sleeve for the other side. Metal. So metal! I would expect no less, my friend. I have a great DCC mat with some rules and most important for sorting all the dice. Tim says, Tad, I love using record albums as GM screens. Oh, yeah, man. For sure. That'd be awesome. That's what it should be done, right? Like they should all be like GM. The only thing is I've had the Star Trek from Modifius. The first one, the GM screen is literally like a 12 by 12 screen. Like it's crazy obnoxious. And it is so big. It's like big. It's so big. It is cool because it's like kind of an album size. But man, it is. Oh, look at this. Doesn't fit on any shelf. Oh, although if you frame it up as an album, well, oh boy. All right, I got to scroll forward, skip a few. William Thorpe, good to see you. Thanks for joining. Uh-oh. There we go. DMs have to have a screen so they can fudge their rolls. Hey-oh. Oh, boy. There it is. Joe, that's right. It was you. I gave one to Brett. It was mine from my childhood. Aw, dude. You should ask for it back. All right. Gabe says, a GM screen should have 4 screens lengthwise, 7 inches tall. Difficulty is determining the essential information for the limited real estate. Indeed. I have my 4-panel GM screen that you slip in 8.5 by 11 sheets into the clear sleeves. Really great for games at cons. I use the forward-facing panels to set the tone with the image. Bingo. Bambo. I made a GM screen out of a refrigerator box once as a joke. It was a small slot in the bottom for passing notes through. The players laughed, but we didn't actually use it. There's also one I thought I found once where you take the 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch 3-ring binder that has and there's ones you can find that have inserts on the outside of the binder, right? Because if you're using it for binder, you could put a kind of a slide in for the label or whatever. And you take that and you could overlap one of the panels and glue it. So then you can tri-fold it out. It's 8.5 by 11. Like this is kind of crafty, right? And then in those 3-ring binders, you could put your document protectors in. Okay. And then what you could do is so you have probably 2 3-ring binders, like access to 2 3-ring rows. And then, so you have document protectors over here, document protectors here, and you could flip them appropriately. And then you take the black clips and hold the pages open, or you could have paper clips and, kind of clip them that way. That's one I've seen, kind of janky, but you can make it look all right? Because then you can insert, because then you'll have 3 external facing, customizable, and 8 or 11 inches tall. Just another idea if anybody hasn't seen that. I've done some searches on GM screens in the past, let me tell you, or stumbled across them. Man, I should incorporate puppets into my games and use the GM screen as a stage. Well, yes. Why wouldn't you? Is the question. The internal for quick reference, which for Against the Dark Master is a key. Kevin Salthart continues. RPG Gen Exile made it. Indeed, you did. Welcome. Orcus Dorcas, I have 3 screens on my PC, so if I run a game online and it has 3-panel GM screen, I'll set each panel on each screen as a background and just minimize the browser for quick reference. That would drive me nuts. I do it I have 2 monitors. They're not huge. They're 27-inch monitors for work. Dude, if stuff overlaps and all that, it just drives me absolutely bonkers because it doesn't pop up when I need it to, But hey, man, you do you, okay? If that works for you, whatever, man. Sorry to hear that your up is so slow, if you know what I mean. Say no more. Say no more. Say no more. Say no more. You know what I mean? Know what I mean? Turn your Napster file sharing off, Sean. Shush. Download more internets. Merkborg. Putrescence Regnant is an album adventure GM screen Interesting. Sean's do-it-yourself DM screen. You can make one for less than $10. Hell yeah. Best investment I made was making my own DCC MCC stamps on Vistaprint. Still perfect after all these years. Mr. Hobbs? I'm on silent saying morning BSers. Oh, well, that's good. Thanks for letting me know, bud. All right, I think we're good. Thanks everybody for chiming in on this riveting discussion on GM screens. Should have a GM screen contest. Make your own. See who comes up with the most creative looking one. It should be at a con. You mentioned tables earlier. I have a preference for round tables. This allows everyone to see each other. That's an interesting topic. Maybe next week we'll talk about tables. Round tables are hard, though. Derp. Yeah, there's not a lot of them. Cons use them. I do like round tables, though. I agree. Liquid death, baby. Murder your thirst. Amen, brother. Cheers. All right, let's get into print news, shall we? Our RPG news. Let's see. First order of the day. Oh, make sure I mute that thing. Hold on, kids. Get this browser off before I even crash something. Oh, averted. Disaster averted. Why is that up? Shouldn't be up. Is that up? How do you guys see this? I don't even know. Hold on a second. Nope. This should not be on. That isn't even on my screen. Something. You guys see? What do you guys see? I'm afraid to bring it up because I'll crash. Yeah. What am I going to do here? Let me see if I can fix this. I troubleshot this earlier. Strange. Yeah, it's not changing on OBS for me. I don't know what's going on. It's crazy. What's going on? Come on, you. Dudes, this is driving me nuts. What do y'all see on the screen? Do you see RPG Sean on there? Or do you see Rascal? Anyone? Is anyone there? RPG Sean, Gabe says. Oh, now my chat's frozen too. That's fantastic. Okay. Great. I can't. How do I get? You know what I know? I know what I'm going to do. Hold on, bear with me. Let's see. Browser. There. Take that, you piece of crap, OBS. I'm fixing something. silly monkey. Wow, that is wonky. How in the world? I think it's the dimensions of my monitor. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, I will. So strange. It's not going to move it over either. Great. All right, we'll just do this. Anyways, I thought this was interesting. Okay, so starting from the top. From RPG News, take one. Possum Creek Games wanders into a new home with Steve Jackson Games. This was interesting. Somebody brought it up on the Discord as early as I think this morning. So if you know Wander Home, right, I think that was up for any award. I remember covering it as a crowdfunding campaign. I don't know much about the game itself. Very interesting aesthetic. Yeah, part of Steve Jackson Games, makers of GURPS and I don't know, like the Munchkin Company, as I would refer to them as. It's an interesting article and how they came to be. And I have to sign in. I thought I signed in. Interesting. Well, I'm not going to sign in. I have access to the full article, but essentially it was that the individuals, Possum Creek designer Jay Dragon, and Steve Jackson Games' new CEO Meredith Placco assured, they met at like Gen Con, and I think Steve Jackson was with Meredith, and they came across Jay. And in the article, Jay does allude to I don't know how I'm going to do creative and publish and market my game. And he kind of was my impression from the article was he's kind of at his wit's end of just like, what am I going to do? I don't have time to do both. And in the article, they said how touching the game was to Steve Jackson. And so they, I think Jay reached out to Meredith to pick her brain is kind of the synopsis, and I may have all this wrong. But, and then they started talking about forming an agreement like what is now joining Steve Jackson Game. And there's an announcement on their website, which isn't probably going to give you a ton of detail on the deets, but the Rascal article kind of was. Anyways, just something interesting and different than I would think. I don't know. There you go. Next up, live action Dungeons and Dragons series is resurrected at Netflix after Paramount Plus canceled it. D&D live action. Yeah, man. I don't know why my browser's off. We'll just move it over. This will be interesting. So the live-action D&D TV series just made its saving throw. The long-in-the-works series has landed at Netflix. And we all know that Netflix, if it doesn't do well at Netflix, it's done. Like, it's just if they slot it for even an entire season, it'll be, if it doesn't do well after season one, it's gone, for sure. Deadline reports that the series will now be called The Forgotten Realms, a meaningful title to the D&D enthusiast. So it's earmarked for Paramount, which had a cozy relationship with D&D owners of Hasbro. They hold the rights for Transformers, G.I. Joe franchises. So the series was to have been spearheaded by Ross and Marshall Thurber of Dodgeball and Red Notice. Sean Levy will be the executive producer, and he is the helmer of last year's box office busting Deadpool and Wolverine. Levy's natural choice for the series, given that other Netflix series, Stranger Things, is rife with D&D references and helped introduce to a new generation. Is this thing going to work? Is it going to work? In addition to this, I just came to my mind, like, will it work? Will the TV series be quote unquote successful? What does success look like? Because I just read an article on Star Wars, about the what is the new series? Star Wars new series lacks Nielsen. Or doesn't make Nielsen. Skeleton Crew. I read this article, so rest in peace Star Wars, entire season of Skeleton Crew no shows Nielsen ratings. So we all know like the fan base of some of these are pretty rough. But dude, seriously, Skeleton Crew no shows on Nielsen ratings? Like, so I think of the D&D show and Star Wars, and I'm like, because we're kind of a similar audience, right? Like that's many of us like grew up with Star Wars. Many of us at the same time discovered role-playing games in D&D, right? And I just wonder, like, will it work? And I don't know. Yeah, Shambot says Skeleton Crew. I hope this means Ed Greenwood will get only the creative recognition he deserves, but also the financial windfall that comes with a successful series, says Todd Crapper. My guess is Ed doesn't see a dime because he doesn't own Forgotten Realms anymore. Yeah, and Aaron says it. The adult haters probably say it, says Salt Heart. Yeah, man. It's but let's think about that. I mean, Star Wars, I don't want to get into that downward spiral, but dude, you got such an interesting franchise that could be so good, and there's so much stuff that they've put out for the new Star Wars since Disney owned it and bought it off of Lucas for $4 billion that just hasn't, I don't know. I'm not a Star Wars hater, but for whatever reason, I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. Hopefully it'll be great. I don't know. We shall see. I will just say that. Next. Getting through this. That is not what I want. Come on, that is not what I want. I think that's it. That's it for new like RPG news, at least for what I had. Let's get into bundles. Where are my Pathfinder folks? This thing's out of control. This 53 items, man. Kingmaker was always the campaign that I wanted to run. I owned all of them. I let them go because I knew I was never going to get it to the table. Didn't really play Pathfinder anymore. But then they kickstarted it. They had the video game. I still have kind of a soft spot for Kingmaker as far as wanting to run it. This would be the bundle I'd want to get, but I'm never going to get Pathfinder 2. Well, never say never, but I just don't have Pathfinder on my get to the table list anytime soon. But if you, it was an interesting campaign concept. It was one of their best ones. Many people will tout it as one of their best ones they put out as far as Adventure Path goes. And now it's like in this bundle to include the original. And there's a lot, like Pathfinder Core, 2 Core, GM Core, like, and it's all crazy in here. There's a lot in here for like, I don't know. There's a threshold price of like $40, $50. So if you're interested, put it in here in the chat. Leagues of Adventure bundle. Very steampunky. Punch Nazis, Fantasy Sights and Scenes, Nope, those are the other bundles. Sorry. Leagues of Adventure designed by Triple Ace Games. Triple Ace, I used to buy some stuff for Savage Worlds. They put out some stuff that was very pulpy based. So in the age of exploration, a semi-fictitious 1890s right out of Sherlock Holmes and Jules Verne, globetrotting scientists, crazed inventors, and daring explorers equipped with airships, mole machines, and weird science gadgets. I don't think I've ever played steampunk. Frankly, I didn't know Triple Ace, and this was like its own game. I always thought they just put out a lot of supplements for like Savage Worlds. What do they call them? Can't remember. There's a term that they use for Savage World. Not point crawls. Crap! I don't remember. Anyways, if you're interested in that, check it out. Let's see. We covered Champions last week. That's still up there if you're interested. Fantasy Sights and Scenes. I don't know. I think I covered this last time. This may be something you want to check out. Probably a little bit more agnostic. Phil Reed Games. Phil used to be associated with Steve Jackson Games. He puts out like a crowdfunding campaign almost every month. So, short, less than $5, quick hits. And so this contains a lot of his stuff, and he does good work. I've gotten into some of his stuff. Fantasy City Sights and Scenes. Let's see. Book of Collected Rumors. Book of Dungeon Encounters. 3 Little Magic Shops. So if you're... There you go. So he said it's weird. That's more weird fantasy. So I flipped to Jason 96. Is He-Man steampunk? Oh, okay. Is Eberron steampunky? I would say, ask Reading Aid. I would maybe, kind of, sort of. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's steampunk. I would say it's more pulp, high action, probably high magic, like magic as technology is my take with Eberron. So I think that's it for bundles. That's all I got for bundles. Let's keep her moving, as we say in the Midwest. Let's go to print news. I'm cooking with grease, despite all my shortcomings technically. RPG print news, Yeti Spaghetti and Friends, Trollord Games, and more. It's coming from EN World. Check it out. Go over there, visit them, visit all these sites, click on all their links in their ads. First one up, Ruins of the Ends Meet by Trollord Games, Amazing Adventure System. One I have not touched in or gotten into is Amazing Adventures. There's so many RPGs out there. Can you imagine talking to me and I'm like, oh, I played that. It was great. I played that too. That's great. Come on. No, you haven't. Next one, Gollum, High Seas Terror, Lair of the Blue Mara, Tricks and Treats, Vengeance of Bathory by Yeti Spaghetti and Friends. Fright Show Classics, Rules Light or D100 RPGs, horror RPGs. $15 each. Next one, Mothership, The Heart of Tiberius. The Heart of James Tiberius. See you, Todd. PC's corporate overlords have sent them to a mining facility infested with alien parasites. Oh yeah, nothing's going to happen. Next one, Ungods, my exalted funeral for Merkborg. A grotesque adventure. What? Get out of here. It should be like rainbows and unicorn farts for Merkborg. That would be horror. A grotesque adventure inspired by Virgil's Aeneid, based on the same titled short story by Marco Taddei. The PCs had ships, but they had become sinister to them, as if spirits had taken possession of them. What? Interesting. Next one, Local Legends, The Son of Oak for City of Mist. New districts and one-shots for PCs who are ordinary people with legendary powers to explore and adventure through. D6 Gelatinous Cube Bundle, Glow in the Dark with Red, Blood with Red, Blood with Black. Oof. I have mixed emotions about these dice. But if you like them, go and grab them. D&D Liquid Core Set dice. Yep, there we go. It's like making me twitch a little bit. D&D Liquid Core dice. Oh, it's not like just polyhedral dice set. No, it's D&D, dude. Ride it, pander. Come on, fan roll. $80. Space Fields dice by Easy Roller Dice. Props to Easy Roller Dice for not labeling them D&D. That's it. That's it for print news. Dice and print news. I get it. Don't hate him. Don't hate me. All right, crowdfunding. Let's get to crowdfunding. Crowdfunding. Cult, Divinity Lost, Dark Realms, and Other Horrors. That's a lot of kroner. 2,845,860 kroner. Powered by the Apocalypse. Cult version, Divinity Lost. I'm not going to do the conversion, but it's funded. It is funded. For next one, Immortals, Hubris, and Glory, 5e from Black Lantern Productions. There you go. That's funded. Next one, Trinity Consortium, Steam Wars from Onyx Path. It's the Story Path Ultra system, not Story Path system, not Story Path Enriched, not Story Path Advanced. It's Story Path Ultra. $24, $25 for the PDF Popular Choice. It's over on BackerKit. I haven't checked to see if it's funded. Should we check? I'm sure it is. Bets. I bet you it is. Funded, just over the mark with 12 days to go. Some of these will be ending in the next week or so. Make sure you go over and check them out if you want to get in on them. Next one, Strange Tales of the Painted Wastelands by Agamemnon Press. Agamemnon Press. Old School Essentials, $30K of 3. It's like a $1,000 goal. So it's funded. Old School Essentials Painted Wastelands is a Gonzo Wasteland hex crawl adventure setting for Old School Essentials. The world is magic, aliens, mystics, floating cars, deserts, and all manner of weirdness. There you go. Who is this guy? What's this guy? Rustwater, weird fantasy in a cursed world, brought up by Kismet Games. Wayne Peacock is one of the folks that's behind this. Quick Start Zine. $1,500 of a $1,200 goal. Bam. And then, of course, a few RPGZ month selections. They Burned the Books by Dreaming Robot. Wiki articles for Our Wizards from Periapt Games. So Many Horrid Ghosts from Spilled Coffee Creative. Starships and Soldiers, a Mothership Sci-Fi RPG Toolkit. There's so many zines out there. Quest for Zines, a zine quest zine about zines. That's from Phil Reed Games. That's all I got for crowdfunding. Shoot, guys. Did I put the link in the chat? I think so. I didn't. No, I didn't. I'll put it in there now. The other thing is, I want to shout out to Kevin Saltheart in the chat. His game, Burn 2D6, is a finalist for the James Carpio Award at TotalCon, I believe, is the convention that is kind of got that award. James Carpio left us a few months ago, and in honor of him and his contributions to gaming and just being a great guy, they put an award into place for him. I think that's going to be kind of a staple of TotalCon, if I'm not mistaken. And so Kevin sent in his Burn 2D6 game, and they said, hey, you're a finalist. I don't know if they have a list. I asked Kevin before the TotalCon RPG convention. Let's see if I can find it maybe. and that's coming up soon. Let me see if I can. It's in Marlborough, Massachusetts. I hope I'm saying that correctly, Massachusetts. Not like Worcester. Highlights, maybe? I don't know. I don't know where it is. Connect, play, press. No, not press badges. I don't know if it's going to list things on here. Industry, Total Com Markets, Exhibit. Might be on the side too. Anyway, it's not on there, but I'll put a link to Total Con in there anyway. There you go. And that thus concludes this stream just over the hour. I want to thank all of these fine individuals for supporting me through Patreon. Thank you so very much, as well as YouTube too. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for showing up and keeping me company this fine Saturday morning. For those that are watching this after the live stream, thanks for checking it out. I much appreciate it and staying till the end. Thank you so much. All right. So do yourself a favor. Do some gaming. We need more gaming now than ever, in my opinion, ever. More than ever. Probably even more since, the dark times of the satanic panic. Like, it can get really sucked into a lot of stuff that can really take a toll on your head. Don't forget there's gaming. There's nothing wrong with escaping for 2 to 4 hours with friends and people that you appreciate. Take a break if you need it. Some of this stuff can really weigh you down. Real life, adulting can really weigh you down. So don't let it get to you. All right. Yeah. Reach out to friends, family, people that, have a listening ear. If you find yourself kind of like in a spot of despair, but I don't want to bring this down and, whoa, man, this is like heavy stuff, dude. But seriously, life, like we all want everybody around for a long time, right? To contribute to each other in some way, shape, or form. Anyways, that's me getting really deep. Again, go game, spend some time like disconnected if you need to, and appreciate those that appreciate you. Be a positive force in tabletop RPG hobby, and I'll see you next week right here again, 8 a.m. Saturday, live streaming about who knows what. If you have topic suggestions, hit me up on the Discord or in the comments down below. We'll see ya. Take care.